Welcome to the West Ham Boys. I hope you're enjoying the long bank holiday weekend, well, as much as you possibly can. Being a West Ham fan, we're always a bit beleaguered, aren't we, us West Ham fans? We've not had a good season, and the season got a turn for the worst, really, in the game against Brentford on Saturday afternoon. Look, Premier League survival has always been on a knife edge for us this season. Some may argue we've had more than enough chances to pull away from the bottom three, but we just don't seem to be able to do it. A mixture of poor performances, bad team selections, bad tactics, poor substitutions, poor refereeing, poor VAR decisions. Everything seems to have gone against us this season, and not just on Nuno, but also on Graham Potter when he was in charge for the first half of the season as well. But Nuno gave us a bit of glimmer, a glimmer of hope. In the way he came in, it took him a while to sort of get going. But then from January onwards, we've had that dream, haven't we? But despite that, despite the good performances and really decent results, we still haven't managed to completely pull away from the bottom three, unlike Nottingham Forest, who one more win will see them relatively clear of the bottom three. Leeds United have demonstrated how they have been capable of doing it, but we just seem to be sort of eternally stuck there, don't we? Either in the bottom three or just hovering above it, and precariously as well. Look, with the Brentford game looming, we had the chance to pull away from Spurs. We had the chance to get 5 points clear before they play their evening game on Sunday against Aston Villa, but we didn't manage it. And now we find that defeat against Brentford means that our destiny is not in our own hands. Look, before I carry on, if you're new to this channel or if you've watched the West Ham Voice before, there's a QR code that's appeared in the top corner there. Please do click on that QR code. You can go straight to the subscription page, become a subscriber. It costs nothing to subscribe, free of charge. If you enjoy the content, become a subscriber. If you enjoy this particular show, hit the like button that's below the video at the end. There's also a hype button. If you click on that, you're able to hype this video so other West Ham fans or other fans football fans can view this particular video. So, look, destiny is now not in our own hands, like I said. But when I look at the game, when I try to, have a bit of it's always good to sort of reflect a day after the game to sort of see how I still feel about the game that I was at. Look, in the first half, we were actually good. No, I tell a lie. It was boring until Brentford scored, and then we woke up. You got to look at their goal, and when you're languishing at the bottom of the league, sometimes certain decisions that you think might go your way don't go your way. And you look at the Dinos challenge, the challenge on Dinos. Yes, look, he got to the ball first and he did kick it into the net, it rebounded off the bar and into the net. But the crunch, I don't know, their striker studded straight down on Dino's foot. One could argue, I guess, that Dinos kicked the ball before he got fouled. So it wasn't given. Was it the right decision? I hate saying it, but yes, I guess it was the right decision for them to go 1-0 up and not to cancel that goal out. But that woke us up. And then, in the first half, we had our fair share of chances. We were right in it. But unfortunately, our finishing just let us down. Hit the post. We've hit the post twice. We hit the bar once. And a great shot by their keeper on Tati from Tati. But I'll be honest with you. We went in at half time disappointed that we were 1-0 down, but believing that we were right in this game. We didn't look out of place. And everyone said that, Brentford played really well against Man U. They were unlucky in their away game. So it was going to be a tough game. And lo and behold, it was a tough game. We weren't expecting it to be any different. But at the end of the first half, we were right in it. But we did say, if Brentford managed to get a second goal, then it's going to be a really, really difficult task for us to stay in the game. And that's what happened. I guess the first controversy of the afternoon, one of the controversies of the afternoon was it a penalty? Was it a foul inside the area? It was deemed both. It was deemed that it was a penalty, it was a foul, and it was deemed to be in the area. When I look at it, and I watched Match of the Day early this morning on Sunday morning, and I've got to look at it and I've got to think to myself, that's a bit harsh. Look, Malik has got an error in him. We've known this. He's not been playing well for the last couple of weeks, but we kind of felt that he had maybe an error in him, and that this was his error. He didn't have to go for the challenge in the way he did, but it looked as if it started from outside the box. It looked as if contact was made outside the box. So I don't know. I looked at it. I don't know. I've had Brentford fans commenting on the post-match review that we did, suggesting that it wasn't a penalty. It was definitely not a penalty. It looked like their player dived over Malik. I don't know. Look, contentious, but it was given. The referee wasn't overruled. And they went 2-0 up, and that was it from there on in. We were labouring. Our midfield looked sort of a little bit lost. They lost that spark. Our attack was even worse. And for once, our solid defending really, really let us down. But having said that, we were still creating chances. We hit the bar. We hit the post again. You know, we did everything but score. We had our fair share of challenges in their box. Souček wrestled to the ground, wasn't even looked at. Pablo fouled, again, not reviewed. You know, and when I look at those decisions, you've got to ask yourself, especially the Souček decision, you've got to ask yourself, why wasn't that reviewed? You know, Craig Pawson, awful, as he has always been when he's refereed a West Ham game. And he's got previous with us. You know, he seems to be making these decisions that seem to always go against us. And I'm not going to say that the refereeing and the VAR decisions made us lose the game. We just didn't turn up. You know, we didn't have that spark. There's absolutely no two ways about it. We just weren't in the driving seat on Saturday. We really needed that sort of performance. But when you have decisions go against you and challenges that you think, hang on a second, you know, surely there needs to be another look at this. That brings, doesn't matter how geared up and G'd up the players are, when you have decisions go against you, one after the other after the other, it saps your energy and it makes you feel that you're not just playing against 11 men. You're playing against 11 men and the system. You know, there are rumours now, there's speculation now that the Premier League will do all it can to keep a greedy six in the top six, a greedy six in the Premier League, and will be, you know, will be a consequence of that. I don't know. Do I believe that? Sometimes when you look at some of the decisions that have gone against us throughout the whole season, you've got to ask yourself, you know, what's going on? And I know Everton fans are going to point to last weekend saying that they should have had a penalty with the Fernandes handball. And I totally agree that should have been a penalty. But we also had two clear-cut penalties that we weren't given last week. Pickford should have been sent off for the challenge on Castellanos. You know, he went in studs first, both feet off the ground. And Castellanos could have been really injured badly. So there were decisions like that you know, haven't gone for us either. So before you all say it, Everton fans, we had our fair share of shouts last week as well. But in general, it feels that everything is against us. And when you're down at the bottom, you know, these decisions do always seem to go against you. But having said that, we didn't have the spark. We didn't have the drive. You know, Brentford are a good team. You know, we rarely beat them. We beat them in the cup a couple of years ago. But other than that, you know, we rarely beat them. And what I take solace from, what I take something away from this game is the fact that despite how badly we played, despite not having that spark, we still created chances. And I can take that as a positive. I can take that and say to myself, look, despite everything else, the fact that we had chances and we hit the post and, you know, hit the post a couple of times, hit the bar, etc., surely we take that away with us and say, despite playing badly, we were creating chances. So if there's any modicum of hope, that's got to be it. Look, Nuno was getting an awful lot of stick on the terraces for his decision making, for his team selection, for his substitutions. Look, as much as I was disappointed that Tati got substituted, it made sense. When I look back on it now, someone commented. I don't know if it was a comment in the chat after the video from Saturday or otherwise. I can't remember where it came from, but someone said Castellanos was on a yellow card. And the last thing we want is for him to get a second yellow and to be missing in the game in the next games coming up. So I didn't like it, but I got it. Should Traore have come on sooner? It did take a while after their second goal for the changes to be made. And yes, absolutely. I think the likes of Traore and other subs should have come on sooner. As soon as we went 2-0 down, make those changes. And interestingly, I mean, he hasn't got an end product, but he made things happen, Traore. He was, it looked like he wanted to prove something. He was going at them. And for the few minutes that he was on the pitch, he caused them problems. But let's be honest, the second goal completely killed us off. And the third goal was, it was just the icing on the cake for them. But it was the second goal, really. When that went in, we kind of knew that we were never going to get back into this game. Look, we now have the pain to wait till around 9 o'clock on Sunday evening to find out whether we're back in the bottom three or whether we're still out of the bottom three. Of course, Tottenham Hotspur take on Aston Villa. One just doesn't know what kind of Tottenham Hotspur is going to turn up. And also, we don't know what kind of Aston Villa will turn up. Many are suggesting that Villa's focus is on the Europa League game against Nottingham Forest. But a win today will keep Villa in the hunt for an automatic Champions League spot in the league. So they're not going to want to let that pass them by. But many say Spurs have the easier running. I don't know. Have they? I think their running is on a par to ours. They've got to go away to the likes of, away to Aston Villa, away to Chelsea. They've got to play Leeds at home, who aren't going to be an easy game to play against. It's not going to be easy for them. So I think our running is certainly on a par. But the one thing I questioned the other day was, is it only between West Ham and Tottenham Hotspur for that final relegation place? And it now does look most definitely that it is. Look, our game against Brentford, it hurt. It really did hurt. The defeat really hurt. The pain of losing in the manner that we did won't be easy for the players to forget. It certainly ain't going to be easy for the fans to forget. But we have ground out results in unlikely games in the past, and I'm sure we can do it again. I'm not giving up. It won't be easy, but we've got to continue believing. I know it's Arsenal next, and I know they're going to want to wrap up the title. And they're 6 points clear now with the games in advance that they have over Man City. I think, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but they're going to want to wrap it up. So that game is going to be important to them, but it's important for us as well. And we've got to go out there and give them a game. It's going to be at home, of course, and the home fans, the way we've been fantastic over, the last couple of months, I think maybe, we've got to give ourselves a chance. If we don't, we might as well give up now. Look, I got why Nuno didn't make any changes in the lineup for the game against Brentford. Why change a team that's been doing well and not been losing? But now, given that, the 3-0 defeat against Brentford, I think now, Nuno's going to seriously consider what he's going to have to do. And, we had a couple of subs on. Bissaka came back into the, as a sub. But I've got to be very honest with you, and I know Wiggy was saying, in the post-match review, the video, he did like for like, a right back for a right back, a striker for a striker. And I didn't see that. Wan-Bissaka, we all know, yes, he's a right back by trade, but he's more of an attack-minded right back, whereas Kyle Walker-Peters is more a defence-minded right back. And it showed in their third goal, Brentford's goal, because Wan-Bissaka was strolling back and, not closing the player down to make the cross. And I like him going forward, but he's quite lax when it comes to defending. But if Wan-Bissaka does come back into the team now, I'm wondering whether he'll go in on the left side, because Malik's, sometimes, you've got to leave a player in the team to sort of, get them to sort of get over the mistakes that they make. I don't know. I think maybe Nuno might be thinking about the left back slot and what he can do there. I've got a feeling that quite possibly we'll go through at the back against us, against Arsenal next weekend. Todibo coming back in. It won't surprise me. And I know fans will be upset at that. But, what else would he do? He's going to have to keep it tight. I think he'll try and keep it tight the way we played against Man City and try and nick it on the counter-attack. And you know what? If it wins us the game, then great. Then so be it. But it's up front that's going to be really interesting because there's a clamour for Pablo to be dropped. I appreciate his efforts. I think him and Castellanos since coming into West Ham United team in January. I think they've changed us, and I know they're not getting a lot of goals, but they've changed the way we play. And I admire Pablo for his resilience, for his fight, etc. But I think quite possibly Nuno must now be thinking, well, what do I need to do to win this game against Arsenal? And he might just go for it. You might see Traore start. You might see Wilson start. I don't know. Try and win the game and then defend it. I don't know. Let's see. But we've got to keep the faith, people. We've absolutely got to keep the faith. We do now need luck. And I don't like the fact that we need other teams to do us a favour. But we now need luck in what happens between Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur on Sunday night. And we really hope that Villa can do us a favour. But there you go. 3 games left. Don't lose hope. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like I said, if you want to become a subscriber, please click that QR code to subscribe free of charge. And I will see you all again pretty soon.